Philadelphia Eagles, who have the best personnel in the NFL, the best roster, since probably about the Niners 3 years ago, but the Eagles have a much better O-line and they're much better at quarterback. I don't know how Buffalo, if they get to the Super Bowl, is going to stop this. Is going to stop this offense. They today. I mean, Washington obviously helped multiple fumbles, 3 fumbles, but this roster's insane. I mean, I went into this game thinking winner of the AFC is Super Bowl champs. I mean, here's how good Philadelphia's roster is. You forget Devontae Smith is on the team. They have to engineer jet sweeps and little clever misdirection plays to get him the ball. Otherwise, you forget. He'd be a number one on a dozen teams in the NFL, number one receiver. You forget he's on the team. I mean, they have to work to get the ball to A.J. Brown, who's a top 5 wide receiver talent in the NFL. Between Goddard, Barkley, Hurts. I mean, it's just, again, they have an elite player at running back, 2 at guard, 2 at tackle, 2 at receiver, 1 at tight end, 1 at defensive tackle. I think both their corners are really good. It is, and Jalen Hurts makes just enough big throws that you got to play him honest. He's. I think Jaden Daniels is better from the pocket. I think Greg Cosell's been telling this all year, but he makes just 18-yard throws, good in the red zone. This team is just insane. I mean, let's go back to the beginning of the season when the Giants allowed Saquon Barkley, free agent, to go to Philadelphia. And we said it at the time. This is as bad as GMing gets, Joe Shane of the Giants. It doesn't get any worse than that. I always thought Reggie White to the Packers, greatest free agent acquisition. Drew Brees to the Saints. I mean, Brady wasn't in Tampa long, pretty damn good, right? Peyton Manning to Denver. This feels like it's in the same class. I mean, to let them go to your division rival, congrats on Joe Shane retaining his job. It's as bad as it gets, and you could see it coming from a mile away. This is Babe Ruth to the Yankees. You could see it coming from yesterday. It was like a slow heavyweight fighter's right hook. Jerry Quarry. Look that one up. Telegraphed. Philadelphia's a handful, man. There's just not much out there I've ever seen like it. There are drives throughout the course of a game, and there are halves for the Eagles that you just don't know how anybody ever stops them. And, Washington, they'll sputter initially because, a defense has all sorts of energy. But have you noticed what they're doing in the second half? They wear people out. They just wear teams out. That's why I said that what the Rams did in snow for an indoor team to be, have a chance to win the game late is insane. Keep your eye on the Rams next year. Because, I mean, there was a point in the second half I thought, okay, they're down 14 points. They're still in it. And maybe without the mistakes they would be. But it is, listen, both teams were in the top 10 in the NFL in 10-plus play drives. And Washington's opening 18-play drive, I thought, I would have gone for it, by the way. My take is take 22 plays, score a touchdown, get into Philly's head. I mean, you have to take chances like the fake punt. You have to take chances against Philadelphia. You don't have the same personnel. You're on the road. The fake punt, I would have gone for it in that opening drive. Just 22 plays and a touchdown, get into Philly's head. You're not getting into anybody's head when you settle for a field goal. But I feel like in this game, I did not feel the Eagles were undercoached. Now, mid-second quarter when Barkley only had 3 carries, I'm like, let's go. Let's not outthink the room. But I think Philadelphia is coached well enough to win a Super Bowl, and their personnel's insane. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm thinking of the last roster that was this good. When the Seahawks had Russell Wilson on a rookie contract, and they went and got Cliff Averill to rush the passer and Percy Harvin as a gadget player. I mean, they barely played Percy Harvin because he had those migraine headaches. That Seattle team had a great player in every unit: safety, corner, pass rusher, weapon, elusive quarterback, star running back. O-lines back then were better, probably the best of Pete Carroll's NFL coaching career. That team had and you had a really good coach. So I think Philadelphia. I worry that Jalen Hurts will be forced to play from behind. I don't love him there, but you know what? He's good enough. He's good enough. This roster is just ridiculous. Now, good news for Washington. You're going to be back in this game several times over the next decade if Jaden Daniels stays healthy. Terry McLaurin, 16 touchdowns this year. That's as much as or more than the last 3 years combined. So we've always said quarterback leads the receiver. You can have the world's best receivers. You can go get Larry Fitzgerald. When he had better quarterbacks, he put up better numbers in Arizona. So, Terry McLaurin's always been good. He's a great player now, spectacular player. Quarterback drives the wide receiver. So Washington, I think, is well coached. Cliff Kingsbury, in my opinion, should remain in Washington several years, play out your contract until there's a great job opening. There really isn't. I thought New England was about as good a job opening as you're going to have. Stability and ownership, Drake May, decent defensive personnel. But if I was Cliff Kingsbury, stay put. And I remember before the draft, I was lucky. I had a really good source that said Washington is going to draft Jaden Daniels. There was a lot of questions about Drake May going to, and I'll say this. I was told very early Kingsbury pounded the table for Jaden Daniels. He saw him. He thought, this is the offense. I'll mold this guy very quickly. And 2 weeks into camp, I was told that Kingsbury was like, he's better than I thought. And the kid's spectacular. He's so good from the pocket, so clever, so smart. And he has a quality that you could confuse it with being emotionally remote. Like he's not somebody that is high spirits and high-fiving. I think that wears well. I think his ability, he doesn't pout, he doesn't sulk, that's different. But he is emotionally into the moment. You don't see his emotion. He doesn't wear it. And I think that temperament is so important. Listen, Baker Mayfield has done a great redemption tour. He wears his emotion on his sleeve. And because of that, he throws a lot of picks and he's reckless. I love Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold gets very emotional, amped up. You don't get that with Jaden Daniels. It's just same temperament, and that is going to pay major dividends. I didn't think he was overwhelmed. He didn't have half the team. He's got one weapon. He's got Austin Eckler, but I mean, Zach Ertz, good players, but I mean, McLaurin's a special player. So I got reams and reams of notes that I'll get to more of the Eagles with former Eagle scout John Middlecoff later. But that 4th and 12, they went for it. When Daniels got sacked in the fourth quarter, that was all she wrote. You're watching the same thing I am with Philadelphia. Sweet Jesus, is this roster insane? It will be the best roster in the Super Bowl. It will be the best roster I can think of, except for the Niners. And I won't even say that. The Niners were not this stacked on the offensive line, and Hurts is a better quarterback. But in the red zone, the direction and the dimension where Philadelphia is going, they have the ability. They had a couple drives today, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, and I like to guess the call before the play. I've been my entire life watching football. I'm trying to kind of guess what they're doing. I can never guess Philadelphia except the tush push. That's the only time I know what they're doing. But when I think they should go to Saquon, they don't. And then I think, where's Devontae Smith? And they get it to him. That gutsy call on 4th down, they threw it up the sideline to A.J. Brown. That would have been the last thing I would have envisioned or predicted. So the play calling today I thought was really good. I'm just not a fan of the tush push. Congrats to the Commanders for a remarkable season and drafting what I believe is the Patrick Mahomes of the NFC for the foreseeable future.